Hey vinyl community, it's Michael. Welcome back to Near Wild Heaven. Today's video I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to start doing these spotlight videos on occasion. I'm calling them retrospectives, but the same thing, spotlight videos. Today's video is going to be about the Flamin Goovies. I discovered the Flamin Goovies back in the 70s. When I found their first three albums in the cutout bins, and I've been a fan ever since. So they're a great rock and roll band. They started in San Francisco. There were two friends, Roy Loney and Tim Lynch. They had met in elementary school, so they were lifelong friends. By the time they hit their teens, they started making bands or having bands. Their first band was called The Lost and Found. They went through several changes. At one time, they were going under the name of The Chosen Few. But by 1968, they had got a lineup of Roy Loney on vocals, Tim Lynch on rhythm guitar, Cyril Jordan on lead guitar, George Alexander on bass, and Danny Mim on drums. Now, this lineup is the first era. There were two distinct eras of the Flamin' Groovies. The first era is Roy Loney era, and then the second era is led by Cyril Jordan. But at the time, 1968, they scraped enough money together and they recorded an EP, a 10-inch EP that they released on their own. This is called Sneakers. They released it on their own Snaz label. This isn't an original. This is from like 1986, I think. That was released by a French bootleg label called Skydog. But yeah, this is pretty good. It's kind of like it's 50s style rock and roll, uh, and there's like doo-wop and like a soulful ballad. There's 8 songs, but they're all like under 3 minutes long. Well, the longest one is 4 minutes. But yeah, it's pretty good for a first effort. You know, it kind of shows how the band could adapt to different styles. So yeah, but they recorded this and self-released it in 1968, and it got the attention of some record companies, and Epic Records signed them to a deal, and they recorded their first album. This is their first album, Flamin' Goovies, on Epic Records from 1969. This is really good. It's more 50s influence, and it's got like 4 covers from that era. You know, the 50s rock and roll era. They do a cover of Girl Can't Help It and Rockin' Pneumonia and the Boogie Woogie Flu, which is really good, really well done. The originals on here are just fantastic. There's a song called Lori Did It that is just a great song. But yeah, this is the first Flamin' Goovies album, self-titled, on Epic Records from 1969. And then up next, of course, that didn't sell at all, so Epic dropped the band, and they got another record label with Kama Sutra, and they released this. This is their second full-length album called Flamingo from 1970. Really good. This is still has some of the 50s influence, but it's more of a raunchy sounding rock. There's even a few songs on here that are kind of proto-punk. I mean, it's really good stuff. Um, it opens up with Gonna Rock Tonight, which is, 50s style rock. Um, Headed for the Texas border, Keep a Knockin', Second Cousin. All of it's really good. The second album on Kama Sutra, Flamingo, the Flamin Goovies. Um, so even though that album didn't sell too well for them, they were allowed to make another one for Kama Sutra, and they came up with this classic. This is Teenage Head from 1971. This is like the best album by this lineup. I love this album. It's so good. Opening song, High Flying Baby, is really good. City Lights is got a very heavy Stones feel to it. In fact, when this album first came out, I remember seeing an ad for it in Cream magazine, and there was a quote in the ad from either Mick Jagger or Keith Richards saying that Teenage Head is the album that Sticky Fingers should have been. But I think the Stones were being a little generous there. But yeah, this is a great album. It's so good, and I think it's the best album from this era, and possibly the best album ever from their whole career. But great album, Teenage Head from 1971. So at this point, due to their lack of record sales and recognition, Roy Loney and Tim Lynch left the band. So Cyril Jordan, the lead guitarist, kind of took over. And the band at that time, he brought in two other people, Chris Wilson to replace Roy Loney, and James Farrell on rhythm guitar to replace Tim Lynch. And this lineup, they recorded some demos for Capitol Records, and some of those are on this. This is a compilation from 1999, I believe, on Norton Records, and it's a collection of demos and live stuff recorded between 1971 and 1973. So yeah, and there's a demo version of Shake Some Action on here that I think just puts the released version to shame. I mean, it's really good. There's a lot of good stuff on here. The band was starting to write more songs. Chris Wilson and Cyril Jordan were collaborating on a lot of songs at the time, but they didn't have a recording contract, and they went to England for a while, and they got a contract with United Artists, but it was only for like 4 singles. So between like 1972 to 1975, they released like 4 singles on the United Artists label. I don't have those, but I'm sure, I think I have them somewhere on a compilation. But yeah, this is great stuff. Like I said, it's demo versions and some live tracks, like from TV appearances. Like they did a French TV show where they played like maybe 4 or 5 songs, and some of that's on here. But yeah, it's really good. Flamin Goovies, Slow Death collection of their demos and live stuff from 71 to 73. So finally, they came back to the States, and they ended up getting a contract with Sire Records. And in 1970, 6, I believe it is, they released this classic, Shake Some Action. It's the first album from the new lineup. There's great stuff on here, very British Invasion influenced. The classic Shake Some Action is on here. But like I said, it pales in comparison to the demo version on that other album I just showed. But great stuff from the Groovies. All, like I said, it's mostly like British Invasion styled music. They even do they do some covers. She Said Yeah, Misery, and Let the Boy Rock and Roll. Really good stuff, but the originals, like You Tore Me Down, which was kind of like a British Invasion styled song, you know, but really good stuff. I really enjoyed this a lot. This is of the second era of the band. This is my favorite album from them, Shake Some Action. And then that was 76. It was like 2 years before they put out another album, and that was Flamin Goovies Now. It's the second album for Sire. This is more of the same of what Shake Some Action is. A few originals and covers. They were starting to rely more on doing covers than writing original stuff. But yeah, the original stuff on here is pretty good. Between the Lines, Take Me Back, All I Wanted. They also do versions of Paint It Black and There's a Place by the Beatles, and I think that's it. Everything else is originals, but fairly decent. Not quite up to standard like the Shake Some Action album, but still pretty good listen. This is from, I think I said it already, it's from 1978 on Sire Records, Flamin Goovies Now. And then in 1979, they released this. This is their last album, their last studio album. It's called Jumpin' in the Night. This is probably the weakest album that the band released at the time. Again, they relied on a lot of covers and still stuck with the British Invasion sound. They do a cover of Warren Zevon's Werewolves of London, which to me seems kind of silly to do. I mean, it's not as good as the Warren Zevon version, but so, you know, why bother? But anyway, it's okay. It's got some decent stuff on it, and have it in my collection just to complete the Flamin Goovies collection. Like I said, it's probably the weakest album in their catalog, the last studio album from 1979. So, then I got some other stuff here. They released, like I said, they did some demos in like 71, 72, and this is EP released on the Skydog label, the French bootleg label, and it's all like, I think some of this stuff is on that other album that I showed, the one with the demos and live stuff, but it's got Let Me Rock, Dog Meat, Sweet Little Rock and Roller, and Slow Death. But really good. kind of raw sounding. Like I said, these are just demos, but still worth a listen if you like Flamin Goovies. Really good stuff. Up next, this is a bootleg of like covers and demos, live versions of stuff like Jumpin' Jack Flash, Sweet Little 16, Under My Thumb, Don't You Lie to Me. This is on Maryland Records, released in 1990, and it's on this yellow vinyl there. You can't really see the label that good, but yeah, it's okay. It's worth a listen. Not a whole lot of, I don't know, not a whole lot of good stuff on this. I mean, it's okay, but it's just, like I said, live recording. It's another one, more live recordings. This one's pretty good, though. This one's got some good sound on it. They do a cover of The Who, I Can't Explain, which was a Teenage Head outtake. Lots of good stuff on here. Shot of Rhythm of Blues, Married Woman, Blues from Phyllis. Stuff was like live in San Francisco, and yeah, live stuff and a few demos, things like that. Home to Roost, Flamin Goovies. And next one here, this is Bucket Full of Brains. This is on Box Records, part of the Bomb label. But yeah, this is a recording of the original lineup of the band, including Roy Loney and Tim Lynch, and it was recorded in 1971 at the Fillmore West in San Francisco. But this is pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Not perfect sound, but it is listenable, and it's pretty good. They do Can't Explain, Sweet Little Rock and Roller, Have You Seen My Baby, Roadhouse, Dr. Boogie, Slow Death, Shakin' All Over, Teenage Head, Louie Louie, and Walkin' the Dog. But great stuff from the Flamin Goovies, Bucket Full of Brains live album. And occasionally they reformed over the years. I think a lot of times that they did that, it was like for a cash grab. But this is one of them. This is live in Australia. One Night Stand. This came out in 1986. They do a cover of the Hoodoo Gurus' Bittersweet. It's really good. They do Kicks, the Paul Revere and the Raiders song. Call Me Lightning, a Who cover. They do also on here a live version of Shake Some Action and Slow Death, Teenage Head. Pretty good. Not quite as good as like what the original lineup was doing, but pretty good. Not bad. So, Flamin Goovies, One Night Stand. It's recorded live in Australia. They did finally reunite, like in 2016, 2015, something like that. And they did record one more album, and that's this, Fantastic Plastic. This came out in 2017. I believe it's all originals. It's really good, though. I was surprised how good this was. Of course, the only original members, or not original, but from the second lineup of the band was Cyril Jordan, Chris Wilson, and George Alexander, and they are accompanied by Steve Gomez and Alec Paleo and Prairie Prince. I've heard that name before, but I'm not sure. I think he had something to do with the Tubes. But anyway, yeah, Fantastic Plastic, the latest Flamin Goovies album. But yeah, there you go. Flamin Goovies Retrospective. That's about everything. Oh, wait a minute. Two more. I also have these. This came out Record Store Day a few years ago. This is also called A Bucket of Brains. I'll Have a Bucket of Brains. EP. Well, there's 8 songs on here. Shake Some Action, Tallahassee Lassie, Married Woman. It says 1995 Mixdown, Original Speed. So I'm not sure what they meant by that. Maybe the original recordings were recorded at the wrong speed or what. I don't know. But not too bad. Pretty good stuff from the Groovies. And also this came out on Bomp in sometime in the 80s, I believe. 10-inch. They do a cover of Him or Me, What's It Gonna Be, the Paul Revere and the Raiders song. Really good version of that. Another version of Shake Some Action, which is... Oh, some of this is recorded live at the Imperial College in London in 1976. But good stuff from the Groovies. Really nice package there. But yeah, that's my Flamin Goovies collection. I hope you enjoyed that. I want to start doing these on occasion. I figure any band that I have more than 5 albums of, I could do a retrospective of. So thanks for watching. I hope everybody's doing well. I'd like to thank everybody who's subscribed in the last couple of weeks. And if you like what you see, subscribe, hit the bell, and all that good stuff. And take care, VC, and I hope to see you again real soon. Bye-bye.